Welcome to the Dr. Dare Show. My name is Dr. Frederick Dare. I am a therapist here in Atlanta, Georgia, and welcome to my channel. But before we get started, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, like this video, share it, and click the little bell at the bottom of the screen so that you will get updates of when I upload new content. We usually cover hot topics or mental health issues. Today is no different. Today we're covering mental health a mental health issue, yes, if I can talk. So we're talking about anxiety and depression during the time of the pandemic. So I know a lot of people are experiencing a lot of anxiety and depression during this time because for a lot of good reasons. And for one big person that we all know, Michelle Obama, was just saying that she was experiencing a low-grade depression due to the pandemic and being locked down, the racial, stuff that's going on this side against this side, and all of the uncertainty and all of that stuff. And so we all are kind of probably experiencing some kind of anxiety or depression. I know me being a therapist, I'm starting to see more people coming in with anxiety and depression, and a lot of it's just adjusting to what people keep saying is our new normal, but it's kind of hard to adjust when you didn't expect it, right? We got a lot of fear. So for me right now, for the people out there, just check in with me in my comments and let me know how you're feeling. And a lot of people, when I do this in therapy, they don't know how to even check in. And when I say check in, that means just let me know how you're feeling based on your day, right? And so I wrote a sign that has like different emotions on there. You see sad, you see blah, happy, not myself, melancholy, anger, tired. These are all the things that I know I kind of experienced with this pandemic. It's like, when is it going to end? What does our future look like? How are we ever going to make it through? Are we going to live through this? What's happening? And a lot of this can trigger your anxiety and depression. And we'll get back into the word trigger a little later. And so I kind of wanted to go over kind of what depression looks like. So here's some words that I jotted down of depressive symptoms. First of all, it's feeling sad. Feeling sad. Loss of interest in anything that you used to like to do, and you just stopped doing it anymore. Changes in your appetite. You're not really feeling hungry, or you're overeating. Trouble sleeping at night. Less energy. Feeling worthless and guilty. And thoughts of suicide or death. And usually we call that suicide ideation, just the idea of death always on your mind. So those are symptoms of depression. And to kind of be considered to be depressed, you have to have either 5 or more of those symptoms that I just named, and they had to have lasted at least 2 weeks. If that is you and you resonate with that, please go see a professional therapist. This is not therapy, that's my disclaimer. We are just sharing information with you on my page, again, because I always come to talk about either hot topics or mental health issues. So that's depression. I don't want to get off the topic. So anxiety, you say, well, what's the difference, anxiety and depression? So anxiety, here's the symptoms for anxiety. Persistent or excessive worrying. You're constantly worrying. Like, I can see how the pandemic would bring this on. You don't know what's happening. It's the fear of unknown. You don't know how long it's going to last. You don't know when it's going to stop. You don't know if you're going to have a job. You don't know. And then ongoing worry and tension. And then it starts impacting your physical, starts giving you physical symptoms like restlessness and being on edge and easily fatigued and difficulty in concentrating. Muscle tension, and I'll go anxiety again because I kind of went through that fast. Persistent or excessive worrying. right? Ongoing worrying and tension, and then there's physical symptoms that are created due to worrying so much, and some of those are restlessness on edge, easily fatigued, difficult concentrating, and muscle tension. And in order to be diagnosed with like general anxiety disorder, you at least have experienced most of these for like 6 months. So experiencing all of these things, that constant worry and that constant fear of the unknown, and just worrying, those ruminating thoughts that just keep coming back to you, that this is going to happen and this is going to happen. And when I say ruminating thoughts, reoccurring thoughts that they just won't give up. They just keep coming at you. And so this is kind of what happens, and this is what's happening to a lot of people, because the thought of the pandemic, and we don't know where this is going. People are dying. We look at the news. We don't know what to do. We're fighting over masks. We don't know if I should wear a mask or I shouldn't wear a mask. We're fighting over if a statue should be here, if a statue shouldn't be there. We're fighting over people are losing their jobs. We're fighting over unemployment. Should they get $600 a month? Should they get $400? And all of that stuff is just so much. I don't know about you, but it's just overwhelming. And then it just, for people that are in it, like if you don't have a job, or you could possibly potentially lose your job, the fear of that, the loss, and all of that is so overwhelming. So you're not alone in feeling those feelings. So people are depressed, people are anxious. And so the difference between depression and anxiety is that depression, usually the person is more like, their energy is like really low. Their outlook and everything is just kind of low and blunt, and the blah is kind of like one of the words that I put on, not feeling like yourself and not really wanting to do much of anything. And on the flip side of that, anxiety, the person is anxious all the time because they're constantly having these recurring thoughts and worries about what's going to happen in the future, what's going to happen tomorrow, is she going to die today, is there going to be a bomb, a war yesterday, all of those things, those ruminating thoughts keep you going, so your energy is high. So that's the difference. And if you heard these symptoms between depression and anxiety, there are some that overlap, like the concentration and the focus and sleeping problems. So you could potentially have anxiety and have depression as well, and vice versa. So keep that in mind. But again, if depression and anxiety is impacting your day-to-day life, that you can't function, you're struggling to go to work, you're struggling to do the things that you used to love to do, you don't see, that's the time to see a therapist. Like, we may all have a little bit of this, but if it's not keeping you from being who you are and functioning and moving about and going about your everyday, then you're okay. And so I like to, in the comments, these are kind of samples of how I ask the clients to express themselves. Like, I feel depressed when I lose my job. I feel depressed when I see a child being mistreated. I feel depressed when I think about the pandemic. So keep that in mind also. Then I feel anxious when I'm not in control of my life, or I'm not in control of this pandemic, or I can't control whether I can go outside, or I can't control whether I can wear a mask or not. I feel anxious. So those are kind of how I have my clients express themselves, because some people find it hard to express what they're going through. So those are just cards to deal with that. So I got off on this little tangent. So what are things called that kind of send you into a depressive mode or an anxious mode? And we call them in therapy triggers. And triggers, they're things that kind of set you off. Like Michelle Obama, perfect example. Her triggers were the racial conflict that we're having, the pandemic and being locked down for so long and not being able to see family and friends, created her depression. For me, I'm claustrophobic, so anything that's a tight squeeze, or if I got to get into an elevator, not my thing, but those are triggers that will trigger my anxiety. And so those are what triggers are. So it's good to know your triggers so that you can either learn to cope with them. We will work on that again. We will talk about that again. Or learn to become aware of them so that you, like I said, be comfortable with them or avoid them. We really don't want to avoid them. We want to try to figure out why they're there, and that's why you see a therapist. Okay? So triggers, things that trigger your anxiety or depression, and that could be anything to you. Again, I got off on a tangent. Coping skills, the way we cope with anxiety. Sometimes coping with anxiety could be medication. And don't be ashamed of that. That's a treatment. Sometimes you have to get treatment for depression. Sometimes you have to get treatment for anxiety. Or sometimes you can do meditation, mindfulness, you can do muscle progression, you can do any type of relaxation, yoga, working out. Those things will help if it's not so severe. Like I said, medication is another treatment, so don't count that out. Don't be ashamed of that. But these are coping skills. Relaxation, going swimming, hanging around your friends, which is kind of hard right now, so find another alternative of that. But coping skills, thinking of things that will help you get out of these moods so that you're not just, especially if you're an extrovert, this is probably a hard time for you. Introverts can be difficult for you too, because now you're going deeper into that personality trait, and we don't want you to go so deep. So anyway, develop coping skills. If you need more coping skills, Google this word and they're out there. Okay, and so that's it for anxiety and depression. Are there any questions? You can leave them in the comments. I respond to all my comments on my YouTube channel. So hopefully this was educational. Again, don't feel alone. Don't beat yourself up. Don't suffer in silence. Anxiety and depression, they are real things. I know a lot of people think that they're words, that they're just words, and there's nothing. Like, anxiety can become physical. It can become disability, create a disability for yourself because you can't ride an elevator, or you're so scared to leave your house because of the pandemic that you think all the air outside is toxic, so you stay in and suffer. It's in depression, you lose interest and become suicidal, have suicidal ideation. So it's very important. And so if you're friends of mine out there, I cannot be your therapist, and I wanted to get this in here because of code of ethics. We really couldn't. That's a dual role. I will be your friend and your therapist, and that's not good, because my goal is, as a therapist, is that you get the best treatment that you need. You get to sit in a therapy session and talk to someone that does not know you, and you feel more free to express yourself. Me being your friend, you would probably find it difficult, and plus, I could lose my license if I'm going against the code of ethics. So I cannot be your therapist. If you're my friend, that's a dual role. So I can refer you to therapists. I have tons of friends. I work at a great private practice, and so I can refer you to therapists in that private practice. So anyway, just wanted to throw that out there. Have a great, blessed day, and thank you for watching this show. Or if you saw my live show earlier, before, then you've got this information, but now it's here and you have it. All right, thank you, and don't forget to subscribe, share, like,